So, it appears Nintendo accidentally leaked that the next Smash character is going to be an SNK character, and while they're now claiming that that was a typo and they accidentally copy-pasted the copyright data from something else that totally wasn't a leak, no, it was probably a leak. Considering SNK characters are showing up in every other fighting game, large and small, why wouldn't there be an SNK character in Smash? And anyone saying that no one is asking for this? Nah, fighting game fans have actually been saying, dude, wouldn't it be cool if there was an SNK character in Smash? Dude, Capcom versus SNK Smash, that would be so awesome. But I've noticed a lot of people are going, what the heck is SNK? I've never heard of them. I don't know any of these characters. And then, of course, the longtime fighting game fans are showing up and posting pictures of Kyo and Iori and Terry Bogard and going, hose mad. But I wonder who's going to be mad when they find out that the character is Athena. Okay, time for a quick history lesson on what SNK is and why I think Athena is actually going to be the choice for Smash. So, SNK, old Japanese video game company, apparently has 40 years of history, considering there's a SNK 40th anniversary collection on Switch. And their most popular games, like early on, were Athena, Psycho Soldier, and Ikari Warriors. But their real claim to fame was the Neo Geo arcade hardware. See, arcades, I know like arcades are pretty rare nowadays, but back in the good old days, you know, there were arcade machines, and an arcade board, the thing that had like the actual game on it, would cost like $2,000, $3,000 plus dollars back when they came out, because an arcade board literally contains the entire system and game all in one board. Well, Capcom got the bright idea of separating the two, handling it sort of like a console with the CPS-1, and SNK, Capcom's eternal rival, decided to do the same thing with the Neo Geo, essentially making an arcade board that was like a console where you plugged cartridges into it. However, SNK did it slightly better because, number one, they allowed third parties to develop Neo Geo games, and number two, they actually sold Neo Geo arcade boards that had up to like 5 slots, meaning you could put 5 games in a single cabinet. And that was a big deal. Not only did this let smaller companies utilize very powerful for the time arcade hardware and produce games they normally wouldn't have the budget to actually have that hardware for, but this was a huge deal for arcade owners back in the day, because just buying a cartridge for your Neo Geo arcade board would only be like $300 to $500 instead of like $3,000. That was a huge discount. And again, you could have up to 5 games in a single cabinet. And back in the good old days, there were arcade machines everywhere. Like, you know the entrance to a Walmart where they have all the shopping carts and the red boxes there for you to rent movies from? Yeah, they used to have like 1 or 2 arcade machines there, and if you only have space for 1 or 2 arcade machines, one of them is going to be a Neo Geo, and the other one is going to be survival arts because you make bad life choices. Like bowling alleys, of course, they had a Neo Geo. Laundromats, Neo Geos. The game room in a hotel, because hotels used to have game rooms with like, I don't know, 5 arcade machines in it. Yeah, one of them gonna be a Neo Geo, because you can put 5 games in a single machine. That was a huge deal, and more than that, like I said, they were cheaper, and that meant that in other countries that, you know, weren't as ludicrously money spendy as America, let's go with that, the Neo Geo got a lot of popularity in China, Korea, and especially Mexico. Like, SNK's games, especially King of Fighters, is big in Mexico. They love that down there. So, yeah, like, the US is like one of the few countries that really doesn't know SNK and their games. Now, you might recall that there was a home version of the Neo Geo that many people regard as a complete flop, that, you know, a failure of a system. This is because it's very poorly understood. See, the Neo Geo home cartridge system, the AES, cost like, I want to say $1,200, and then each game cost like $300. So, of course, it was a flop because of that, except it wasn't meant to be a success. See, when this system was being sold, SNK was also releasing their games on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and even Game Gear, and some of those ports are really impressive. Like, Fatal Fury Special on Game Gear is amazing. So, they weren't actually trying to compete with Nintendo and Sega. Rather, the Neo Geo was meant as a premium system, because you were literally taking the arcade machine home. The home cartridges are identical to the arcade games. Literally, like if you download Neo Geo ROMs, there's just a switch you can flip to switch it between the arcade and home version of the game. Shoot, there's even a memory card slot on Neo Geo arcade machines that allow you to transfer your save data between the home cartridge and the arcade. Though strangely not the Neo Geo CD. They did have a later system, the Neo Geo CD, which had the same internal hardware as the arcade machines, but it loaded the data off a CD, which allowed the games to be much cheaper, but the load times were terrible. And the amount of memory it could load into was incredibly limited, so not every game could be ported to Neo Geo CD. There was also the Neo Geo Pocket Color, the little portable handheld that was phenomenal for fighting games, legendary for its clicky stick controller. And yeah, speaking of the Neo Geo home cartridge, SNK actually produced new cartridges for that all the way up until they went out of business and beyond that. I actually bought a KOF 2000 in the year 2000, and then I traded it in 2001 for a KOF 2001, which most people would tell me would be a terrible choice. But anyway, you probably caught a thing I said there. SNK kinda like went defunct. Yeah, see, that's why you probably haven't heard of them in a while. In 2000, the pachinko machine company, Aruz, went in and bought SNK. Like, their last real new game was Cool Cool Tune for the Dreamcast, which I love. But that was their last real game, and then, yeah, they got bought by Aruz, and the actual people who worked there scattered to the four winds. They are eventually, like, met back up in Korea and formed Playmore, then got the rights to call themselves SNK Playmore, and slowly worked at regaining their IPs and trying to gain a foothold, and that's where they were for the whole PS3 360 era, until they pretty much almost bankrupted themselves by making too gorgeous of 2D sprites for KOF 13, and then this Chinese company actually showed up, bought them out, and they're getting back the old developers and throwing tons of money at SNK to rebuild the brand, bring back their classic slogan, rebuying the full SNK name, and trying to, like, utilize their characters and license them out to do comics and anime and movies and stuff like that. They want to make SNK the Marvel of the video game world, which probably sounds silly to a lot of people, but remember I said they're a Chinese company, and guess what was popular in China? King of Fighters and SNK's games. So they view them as a very valuable IP that's beloved the world over, except in America, and they think that they really have something there. Now, when it comes to SNK, like I said, they're mostly known for fighting games. They're pretty much Capcom's eternal rivals. So yeah, there's Capcom versus SNK and SNK versus Capcom. Those were a thing, you know, just as SNK was going out of business. That was a debacle. But their main claim to fame, their most well-known game, is King of Fighters, which from 1994 to 2003 had yearly releases. And here's the interesting thing. King of Fighters may well be the first crossover fighting game. See, the original idea was, oh hey, we're gonna take Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting and have them fight one another along with these other SNK IPs like Ikari Warriors and Psycho Soldier. And they had them all fighting in this first big company-wide crossover fighter, except you couldn't really tell because they over-redesigned the non-fighting game characters. But still, in a way that makes it like a direct ancestor to Smash Brothers. Not to mention, Sakurai openly mentioned that he used to play KOF. One of his inspirations for Smash Brothers was beating people too hard in King of Fighters. And he was like, wow, I felt really bad about beating these people who were just here to have fun. I need to make a fighting game that's more accessible to normal people. Not to mention mechanics like the short hop actually originated in King of Fighters as well. Now, because of that, Sakurai pretty much openly mentioned that the character that he plays in King of Fighters was Ryo. So there's a chance Ryo could get in just for Sakurai favoritism, but at the same time, Ryo is pretty much Ryu, and they used to make fun of that fact. So, and there's a lot of rumors saying the next character is going to be female and is going to be disappointing and confusing to a lot of people. And I think for America, yeah, no, that's Athena. See, here's the thing. Athena did not start in King of Fighters. Her first game, Athena, came out in 1986. That's the same year Samus hit the scene. Yeah, anyone who tells you that there were no female characters in video games before Lara Croft is just doesn't know their video game history. There were actually like a ton in 1985 and 86. There's this weird explosion around that time. I've been trying to research it. But anyway, yeah, no, the original Athena came out in 1986 and it did receive an NES port, and it's not considered a particularly good game, but it's still kind of memorable. But the very following year was Psycho Soldier, which features a descendant reincarnation of Athena. They sometimes count Goddess Athena and Athena Asamiya as two separate characters. They're both kind of the same. I'm going with reincarnation. That just gets translated poorly. I really think that's the case. Regardless, Psycho Soldier was basically a ripoff of Capcom's Sansan, except it is known as the first video game with a vocal theme song. First one to be dubbed, too, as such. Yes, there's a dubbed version of the song.
Athena's name is magic. Mystery is what you see. Her crystal is the answer. Fighting there to keep us free. She's just a little girl with power inside, burning bright. You better hide if you are bad. She'll catch you.
So that gives it some historical significance. But more than that, SNK ever since then has pretty much been using Athena as their mascot. She makes like a ton of like crossover appearances and guest appearances. Like there's a Neo Geo promo CD and they're like, oh, who are gonna get to host the promo CD? I know, we'll have it be Athena. You know? Things like that. Oh, hey, we're gonna have the SNK baseball team and baseball stars. Who should we have as our mascot? Why not Athena? So, and she's in every single King of Fighters and beyond. Heck, remember when I said that SNK went out of business for a minute and they reformed as Playmore over in Korea? Hey, guess what? That company name may well have been based on the SNK-glish phrase that Athena says on the continue screen in Psycho Soldier.
Playmore.
Like, Athena's kind of a deal. Even, shoot, get this, she actually had her own live-action TV show. Athena Awakening from the Ordinary Life was a kind of dark live-action drama about Athena. And then it got a spin-off PS1 adventure survival horror-y game under the same title. Even now, they're using Athena as a VTuber like Athena and I to promote some of the SNK mobile games. The more you think about it, the more sense Athena makes as a representative for SNK. What's more, I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed that it would be another fighting game character, and that's why there was a lot of pull for Metal Slug, because yeah, it's an SNK game, but it's not a fighting game. Because while it's great having fighting game characters in Smash, Ryu and Ken are really fun to play at the same time, they're also kind of boring because they're characters we already know what they're like in a fighting game. One of the most fun things about Smash is when they take characters that don't belong in a fighting game at all and give them a moveset where they work in a fighting game. Well, Athena could have her moveset based on Athena or Psycho Soldier. Indeed, I could easily see her final smash being her transforming into the Phoenix with the purple hair. That's a thing she does in Psycho Soldier. What's more, one of the leaks codenamed the character Soldier, which made a lot of folks think Metal Slug. Well, what if it's a Psycho Soldier? Even if it's not Athena, I'm hoping that the Psycho Soldier theme makes it into Smash, but I think Athena has a really solid chance. The more you think about it, the more you realize, oh yeah, Athena's a super relevant character for SNK's history. She's kind of their mascot, they're kind of their representative, and she hasn't appeared in a crossover. See, here's the crazy thing. SNK, like I said, one of their main things now is licensing out their characters for other people to do things with, and as such, there's like an SNK character in almost every fighting game, large and small, from Geese in Tekken 7 all the way to Iori in Million Arthur Arcana Blood and Terry Bogard in Fighting EX Layer. Then you have Hao Maru in Soul Calibur 6. Mai Shiranui showed up in Dead or Alive 5. Kula showed up in Dead or Alive 6 along with Mai because they could just copy paste the data. As you can see, that's a whole lot of crossing over going on. But every time, they've only used a character once. They haven't used Athena yet. They also haven't used Kyo or Ryo. And admittedly, Nakaruru is actually like a really obvious choice. Samurai Showdown's coming to Switch soon. She's a really beloved character. I could easily see it being Nakaruru, but I got my fingers crossed for Athena. I doubt it will be Goddess Athena because, you know, the bikini, like, Smash is allowed to get a little lewd, but that might just barely be tiptoeing across the line. They could still put her in with, like, the full armor if they wanted to, but I could see them getting a little iffy on that. But classic schoolgirl Athena from Psycho Soldier, absolutely. Fingers crossed that they give her poofy 80s hair in at least one of her costumes. Could easily build a moveset off of that. And what's more, this is gonna sound really dumb, but I'm serious. Smash is kind of lacking in a Japanese schoolgirl character. And I know that sounds dumb. Why does Smash need a Japanese schoolgirl character? Because Smash is like all video games simultaneously. It's video games, the video game, and there's this entire era of magically powered schoolgirls in the mid to late 80s in Japanese anime and video games, and Athena would be a good representative for that, for the Project Eiko era, as it were. Valis and stuff like that. I think it'd be a really good choice to make it Athena, and again, she's kind of SNK's mascot. But oh my god, I can just imagine the salt if this happens. Because most people in the fighting game community, at least here in America, hate Athena because of her high-pitched voice and spamming of the Psycho Balls and, you know, she's this super anime, cute schoolgirl idol singer thing, and I'm like, yeah, she's like one of the originals. It's kind of cool. So that's my argument. Now, having said that, there's this one leak claiming that they thought the character was female, but it was really male, and that it's a car with an animal companion that's purple, and a lot of people are saying, no, that's just a troll, they're referencing Putt-Putt. Believe it or not, I found an SNK character that fits that description. The Munchmobile. Also known as, like, Joyful Highway. But yeah, the Munchmobile. It's some obscure old SNK game about a car with eyes which have little eyelashes, so I could see how you'd mistake it for female that has arms that it sticks out and grabs to get food, and the arms could be mistaken for an animal companion, and in the Texas Instruments release, the car even appears purple? Not to mention purple could just be an alternate color? And I think some people see red as purple as well, so that's also a possibility. So, my money's on either Athena or the Munchmobile. And if it's the Munchmobile, you know what? I ain't even gonna be mad. Because my favorite thing about Smash is when they pick some really random, weird, super obscure character that makes you go, why the heck would you pick that? And then they just make them shine. I mean, the Piranha Plant's amazing. Duck Hunt is a work of brilliance. Mr. Game & Watch, absolute genius putting him in the game. I love that Mr. Game & Watch is in there. He is one of the characters I play, but there's so many great characters in Smash already. I have a hard time getting around to them. So that's my prediction. That's why I think it's going to be Athena. Otherwise, yeah, you know, Terry's an obvious choice. Haomaru's an obvious choice. Kyo, Iori, and yeah, Nakaruru. All of those very, very solid choices. I could see any of them, but I think not enough people are betting on Athena. Again, SNK's pretty much mascot. And hopefully this little history lesson about who SNK is and who Athena is has made you a little more intrigued. I don't know if anyone's going to see this video, but I hope they do. Anyway, thanks for listening. Catch you later.